Hi, I've got a special treat for you this week. I'm going to share a presentation that I gave at Koniak's Untap Your Sales Potential retreat. So in this presentation, I share my entire background, my whole story. I give everything. And I thought that might be helpful for you to hear how my background is so similar to so many of you. I've worked with salespeople for long enough to know that everybody has a little bit of the same things that I have, which is why we're a perfect fit for each other. This is a presentation that I gave live in March 2025 in LA at Ian's in-person retreat. He invited me to be a guest speaker, and the theme of the retreat was Scars to Success. So I thought it'd be really helpful to share my story of all the crazy scars and things that I've been through and how I've turned them into successes. The presentation I split into two parts. The first part is me telling my story and giving some anecdotes about that. And then the second part, I walk everybody through visualization. That's been really helpful for me. I'm not going to include that visualization in this recording, but I'll include a link to it in the show notes. So if you want to see the visualization or hear that, that's available to you as well. Okay, without further ado, please enjoy this recording of my live presentation at Ian Koniak's retreat in 2025.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Ian. I'm so pumped to be here. Brandon was my first sales client. I started my business and I was like, I know I help high achievers and they're probably in tech, and I don't know exactly who it was. And then I worked with Brandon and a couple other salespeople. I was like, oh, this is who it is. These are my people. So I exclusively work with enterprise sellers and I help with mindset and productivity. Just to give you a heads up of what I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to share my story of scars to superpowers. And the reason I'm sharing this is because I've worked with hundreds of sellers now and I hear the same things over and over. And so I'm really hopeful that as I share my story and my insights, you'll see yourself in it. After I share my story, I'm going to take you through a visualization that's been really helpful for me as I have transformed and evolved into self-love and self-compassion, everything that Ian talked about. I'm so freaking pumped. Like, this is it's perfect for what Ian was talking about. And then at the very end, I'm going to take you through my signature workshop, which is I have this really fun process to help figure out how you work best. And so we'll do that at the end. So my story, I hope that nobody actually relates to this story, but I'm sure that there are pieces of it that you do relate to. I am one of 6 kids. I'm the second oldest. And I grew up in a household with an addict father who was a deadbeat. I feel like the more I talk to people, I'm like, wow, we're really all so similar. But so my dad was what you can imagine. And we also were in poverty. So we had about $12,000 per year for a family of 8. And I remember my mom was saying, if that wasn't bad enough, we also had $80,000 of debt to pay off for my dad's failed business. So I remember my mom said there would be months where she would write out the check for the rent, that was $500, and she'd write out the check for the debt repayment, and that was $500, and we had nothing else. And you have 6 kids to take care of. Like, it was wild. So if you have a childhood similar to mine and similar to, it sounds like so many other people here, it feels very chaotic. And what happens is your nervous system just can't quite handle it. And so when you're a kid and you feel all this chaos, there are a few different things that happen. First of all, you get really good at reading people, which is why I think so many of us are in sales, because we're really good at reading the room and understanding, like, that person has questions, that person's not bought in, that person really likes it, like, I need to go slower for this person. When you're a kid and everything feels chaotic, you need to understand how other people are feeling so that you know how you are going to feel. Like, you can hear the sound of the door or the footsteps and you know, like, what kind of a mood that person is in. So first of all, is we read other people really well, which again is scars to success. Like, that's such a skill to have in sales. You can't teach that to people. The second thing is we become really good at people pleasing, because I need you to be okay so that I can be okay. And so I'm going to do everything in my power to manipulate the situation so that you feel okay, so that I can feel okay. Because again, this feels very chaotic. The other thing that kids do is and kids, by the way, are so amazing at surviving. You give us anything and we will survive. The problem is we take those survival mechanisms with us into adulthood and they no longer work, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But so the third thing that kids do is when they don't have their, I don't know why this is happening, when they don't have their needs met, they have two options. Option number one is I can decide that my caretakers are incapable of meeting my needs. But that feels even more chaotic. If I accept the fact that they're not good enough humans to take care of me, then I have no power and no control to change my situation. So option number two is I can decide that it's my fault. The reason that I'm not having my needs met is because there's something wrong with me. Maybe I'm too loud. Maybe it's because I didn't clean my toys. Maybe it's because I need to be quieter. Maybe it's because I upset my parents when I didn't do my homework. And so it's so much more helpful, and it's not helpful, but you get what I'm saying here? When you're a kid and you have no control, you can blame yourself for what's happening around you by deciding that it's your fault. And what this causes is it causes us to get in a cycle of needing to fix ourselves. Okay, well, my parent is mad because I left my toys out, and so now everything feels chaotic. This is my fault, and I need to change myself so that I'm the kind of person who doesn't leave my toys out. Like, this is a problem that I have. Is this resonating with anybody? Yeah. Okay, good. I mean, not good, but I think we all feel each other here. Okay, so I want to tell you some more background about my childhood. So growing up in poverty and having an addict dad, if that wasn't good enough, I also was homeschooled. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So being homeschooled, I didn't have a lot of interactions with the outside world. It was just like me and my siblings. Luckily, there was a lot of them, so at least I had some people around. But it was me and my siblings, and I didn't really know how the outside world worked, except for every so often I would get this glimpse into the outside world because, please pause for drum roll, please. I have 56 first cousins. Can anybody top that? No. Kelsey's like, what? Okay, we got one. Hey. 57. Amazing. Well done. Some of you know I'm from Utah. It's a thing. So you all get it now. So I had 56 first cousins, and so my glimpse into what the real world was like was when I would get together with my family. And I would show up to seeing my cousins in my hand-me-down clothes that were misfitting and ill-fitting, and I would show up, and I remember distinctly this one time we came, and I saw my cousins, and they were on the most amazing thing I had ever seen. Any kids of the 90s can relate to me here. They had rollerblades. Right? I heard the wow, like you guys get it. I was like, oh my gosh, if only I could have rollerblades. Those are the coolest thing ever. Like, I'm sure I would never have any problems again. How could you ever be unhappy in your life if you had rollerblades? And so this is like 8-year-old me deciding this. And the other thing that I saw was sometimes kids had these amazing snacks, like individual cookies or like individually wrapped chip bags. There was one snack in particular that was like the piece de resistance. I don't know if I said that right. It's in a package. It's kind of separated into two containers. One side of the package has crackers. Yes. I heard the gas. Yes, right? The other side has a shiny, gooey thing that's orange that's posing as cheese. But if that's not enough, there's also a plastic rectangle posing as a knife that you can use to spread cheese on the crackers, right? Like, what could be, thank you. What could be better? I feel like I need to personally make a conquest to make sure that food stamps include handy snacks, because there are kids everywhere on food stamps who are missing out on these amazing the snacks. It's garbage, but they're amazing, right? So I had all these wants of like, oh, I see all these outside things that I want, but I'm a kid, I'm powerless, I can't get them. The other want that I really had was I had a neighbor down the street that I would play with, and it was wild to me because her dad would play with her. Like, her dad would come in the backyard while we were playing, and he would be goofy with us, and he'd play. And I was so confused. Like, how come my dad doesn't do that? How come I don't get a dad that plays with me? This looks amazing and super fun. Like, where do I sign up for that? So those were the wants that I had. And as a kid, you're trying to figure out, like, how do I get what I need? So it all changed, and I learned the secret to life. One day, I swam, and I was, not to brag, pretty good. And I swam, and I remember distinctly, I was at a swim meet. I had just finished my race. I beat all the other kids, probably 8-year-olds, I don't know. And I grabbed my towel. I was walking across the pool deck, and I was still panting. And I climbed over this kind of half wall that separated the pool area from the bleachers. And for whatever reason, my dad was there at the event that day, which he usually wasn't. And what happened next will forever be burned into my brain. I came up to them, still panting, and my dad's face lit up. It was like, doesn't happen. But his face lit up, and he said, "Good job, Amber." And right then, in that instant, I felt it. I felt love. I felt acceptance. I felt valued. And I learned the secret. Yeah, I see some of you nodding. Do you know what the secret is? Achieve. That's all you have to do. If you achieve, you get love. You get attention. You get affection. You finally feel like you're worthwhile. My childhood was just full of neglect. Emotional neglect, financial neglect, whatever kind of a neglect there is, that's what I had. And so I didn't think that I was worthwhile. I didn't think that there was any value to me because I didn't ever experience that. But I got this taste of it. Who can relate to me here? Yes. Okay, yes. You feel it and you're like, okay, all I have to do is achieve. That's it. I just have to achieve. And so I became the achievingest achiever there was. I have since unpacked all of this, but before I unpacked all of this, I had already named my podcast the Achievers Podcast. Like, I don't know what more of an achiever. And I'm also an Enneagram 3 achiever. Like, come on. So the piece that I want to point out here is that for kids like us, it turns into achievement is do or die. There is no maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. Like, I loved Ian's story. It's do or die. This is how you get love. This is how you get acceptance. And as a kid, that's all you need. That is all you need. That's all you're searching for. And so we just build it into ourselves like, okay, all I have to do is achieve. And all of this is based on the premise of proving ourselves. I want you to think about this. We take the blame, we decide it's our fault, and we're like, okay, well, it's my fault, so I have to fix this. And all the achievement is based on, I have to prove myself. I'm gonna prove myself. I personally was like, I'm gonna prove myself. I'm gonna prove that I'm worthwhile enough to hang out with all those people with the handy snacks. I'm gonna get my own handy snacks one of these days. I'm gonna get my own rollerblades. I learned that not only does achievement get you love, it also gets you money, which buys you rollerblades. So I was like, sold, done. So my achievement story is that also a funny story, didn't graduate high school. I went to high school, but I only took electives because my mom said, you only need a high school diploma to get in the Army, and you don't have to go to the Army, so you don't have to graduate. Right? I mean, you guys, if you want some parenting tips. So I didn't graduate high school. I started college. I had to start at the very bottom with all the kids English 990. Like, I had to start with all the remedial stuff. But despite that, I'm an achiever. So I got my 4-year degree done in 4 years. And I had an eating disorder that fueled me. Well, didn't fuel me, but an eating disorder that supported me through all of this because everything felt like chaos, but that was the one thing that I could control. I could control what I ate and what I did not eat. And I graduated college in 2008. Was anybody around 2008? It's a great time to graduate college. Yeah. So I got a job as a receptionist, and I was making $28,000 a year, which, by the way, was like $1 billion for me because it was double what I grew up on. Like, we had the opportunity to sometimes eat out at a restaurant, and that to me was the most amazing thing. So started out $28,000 a year. 6 years later, I had proved myself. I had grown. I had succeeded. I got promoted. I had people-pleased my way into this amazing job at a unicorn tech startup. We were so elite that Jared Leto was an investor. Ashton Kutcher was an investor. David Sachs loved it so much, he invested millions of his own dollars and then came into work at the company as a COO. Like, this was like the creme de la creme. I'd been promoted. I was a manager for the first time. And I was making over 6 figures. That kid in me, the 20-year-old, was like, man, 6 figures. How could you ever be unhappy if you were making 6 figures? Like, it was basically like I was a millionaire. I had everything. I proved myself. I did it. I achieved. I succeeded. And that's the end of the story. Just kidding, it's not. Do you guys know what happens next? I was miserable. It's like, come on, this is how it was supposed to all work. I have this gaping hole inside of me of unworthiness, and I shove it full of achievements, and then I feel better. That's how it works, right? Who has been here before? Okay, yeah, you get it. It's so wild because we have all these ideas of what success means, and then we get there. And I'm gonna guess that for most of you, you're kind of there. Like, there's not a lot of like huge milestones that are gonna make your life tons better. I'm gonna guess you could probably buy as many handy snacks as you want, right? Like, your life is probably pretty great right now, but yet we still have these gaping holes of unworthiness that we're trying to fill. So I found the solution. I was like, okay, well, this isn't working. Obviously something has to change. It's the job. I just need a new job. Anybody think? Yeah? It's the industry. I need to go to a different industry, or I need to be in a different position. That's going to solve the problem. Or I need to go to a different market. Like, that's going to solve the problem. I know you guys. I coach you all. I know that this is what goes through your mind. So I did. I got a new job. It was like family-friendly company. I had just had a baby, so like this was great. I negotiated Fridays off. Like, this is going to solve all my problems. Did it solve problems? No. But then, obviously, idiot, Amber, that wasn't it. You need to start your own business. That's what it is. So 7 years ago, I quit my job and I started my own business. Now I'm my own boss. I decide what I do. They don't decide how much I get paid. I decide how much I get paid. I decide how much I work. How many of you have this daydream right now? Yes. I'm just going to let you know, it also doesn't solve the problem. It's so frustrating, and I know so many of you have experienced this, where the common denominator is you. You switch all the outside circumstances, and you're like, why am I still unhappy? I don't understand. It's because it's not the outside circumstance, it's this thing. This is where the problems are happening. You're the common denominator, good news and bad news. So I was fueled by people-pleasing. Like, you guys, you can get really, really far in your career by people-pleasing. It's amazing. You just become whoever they need you to be. You can be a chameleon. Like, I can be whoever you need me to be. You just let me know, and like, I am there. I will throw all my needs aside, and I will just be whoever you need me to be, and you can get really, really far. I also was phenomenal at being a perfectionist. I later learned that I have ADHD, and so I think that was how I hit it, is like, if I just do really amazing work and just work harder than everybody else, then it's gonna be fine. So people-pleasing, perfectionism, I'm really good at trying to control everything. Anybody else here? Who are my pals at trying to control everything? Yes. Really good at just trying to control everything. And also just fueled by this feeling of unworthiness and proving myself. I'm just gonna fix myself. And I know that there are some of you in here who are like me, who are like, well, obviously the answer's in a book. I'm just gonna go read more self-help and more personal development. I'm gonna go get more books and buy more courses and hire more coaches. And like, the solution is out there, I'm the problem. Like, I just gotta fix this. So it all reached a pinnacle when we had moved from San Francisco to San Jose. By this point, I had 2 kids. So I had a 3-year-old and I had a 6-month-old. And all of my coping mechanisms of trying to handle all of this, and perfectionism and people-pleasing and trying to control everything, broke with the chaos of 2 kids that are small and trying to run my own business. And we just moved and I didn't have a support system where we were. It all came crumbling down. So I distinctly remember sitting in my living room And if anybody looked at my life, they'd be like, looks phenomenal, it looks amazing. What do you have to complain about? You've got these 2 beautiful kids. You've got this husband. I think we'd been married for like 12 years at that point. Like, who even makes it that far? You've got this beautiful house. You've got a great job. Like, what do you have to complain about? And I remember having like this little mini mental breakdown and just feeling like, I can't make it 1 more minute. I can't survive. And I just stared at the wall. And I just remember telling myself, sorry. I just said, just stay alive until your husband gets home. It was gonna be like 3 hours till I got home. Like, how is that even gonna work? Just stay alive until he gets home. It's gonna be okay. All my coping mechanisms, they left me. They didn't work anymore. Anybody really, it's like you get to a point where the people pleasing kicks you in the butt and you burn out. This is what I see from so many of my clients. The burnout hits and it is real. And you're like, everything that I've been doing is no longer working. What do I do? So I had to learn that I am worth caring for. I just kind of expected that like somebody would come out of the blue and like see me deeply and be like, oh, you're really struggling. This is a really big problem. I need to help you fix this. And I'm going to come and I'm going to do everything and I'm going to solve it for you. And I just realized nobody's going to do that. I have to do that for myself. And the real turning point came when I saw myself as valuable. I had to know that I am important and I am valuable and I am worth investing in. So I went back to therapy. I'd already been in therapy before, and I had graduated therapy. It had gone great. Thank you. But it was like, obviously something else is there. There's more to work on. I forgot to mention, sorry, I'll talk about that in a second. But so I went back to therapy. I learned that I actually have PTSD, which I was like, PTSD from what? My therapist was like, just from the first 18 years of your life. I'm glad it's funny. I didn't think that would be funny. But I was like, but nothing bad happened. And he explained, like, he's like, think about the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon didn't happen from an earthquake. There is PTSD that happens from like a big event, but the Grand Canyon happened from slow, continuous erosion over time. And that's what I see for so many of us. We have these beliefs in our head that we didn't put there. We didn't decide to believe these things. They were just, through osmosis or whatever, they were taught to us. And we learned these things about ourselves, and it was just continuous erosion. And that can cause the Grand Canyon, right? Like, it's a huge thing. If you're curious, if you do have some childhood trauma, there is a quiz called the Adverse Childhood Experiences. It's called the ACEs. And there's 10 questions, and you can kind of see where you land. And I didn't think mine was that bad. And then I took it, and it turns out I have 5 out of 10 of the adverse experiences. And that was, talking to Ian's point, finding the source. Like, it was really, really helpful for me to realize, like, oh yeah, this actually is a problem. I am struggling, and it's not my fault that I'm struggling. It's okay that I'm struggling, and I can take really good care of myself. But I have to be the one to do that. I see this with so many sellers, and I call it protecting the asset. I see it with so many of my clients who are like, I know that I want to be there for my kids, I want to be more present, but I have to work. I want to reach this big goal. I'm going to close this huge deal. I want to hit 7 figures, and so I've got to push, and I'm going to work 12-hour days, and I'm going to do it. And I always say, you have to protect the asset. You are the asset. Here's the thing. Nobody benefits if you burn out. If you burn out, your company does not benefit. Your manager doesn't benefit. Your team doesn't benefit. You're burned out. They can't get anything from you. If you burn out, your family doesn't benefit. And heaven knows you don't benefit from this at all. Nobody benefits when you burn out. But everybody benefits when you protect the asset. I love how Brandon talks about this. He says, human first, seller second. You have to take care of yourself first. And when you bring your best self to your job, everybody wins. Nobody is at a deficit when that happens. So, Ian, I just love what you said so much. It resonates so much with me, and I just want to really emphasize what you talked about. As I went through all of this, I had to learn that I was worthwhile. I had to learn that I was valuable. And the way that I really honed in on that was through self-compassion and acceptance. Everybody, when I would be like, I'd talk about my inner critic, like, oh, my inner critic's always telling me like I'm not worthwhile, I'm not valuable. I'd be like, you just need to have more compassion for yourself. And I was like, that sounds lovely. I literally have no idea what that is. Can anybody else relate? Am I the only one? Like, just have more compassion. And I was like, whatever you're saying sounds great, but I don't know what that is. And I didn't know why I didn't know what that was. Like, what's wrong with me as a human that I don't know what self-compassion is? But it's exactly what Ian talked about. It wasn't modeled for me. Nobody had compassion for me growing up, and nobody had compassion for themselves. Like, they weren't modeling self-compassion for me. So I did what any educated woman would do, and I went to ChatGPT. And I said, what's self-compassion and how do I have it for myself? And it actually gave me a great list. I'm happy to give it to you. Message me after. I have a handout for you. So self-compassion was the first thing. And self-compassion looks like telling yourself, of course you feel this way. It's okay that you feel this way. It makes perfect sense that you feel this way. And it's all right. There's nothing wrong with you that you feel this way. Anybody in your same position would also feel the same. And then acceptance, it really comes from recognizing that you are okay as you are. Ian, I feel like you said this so perfectly. There's nothing wrong with you. You are so valuable, and you are so worthy, and you are so lovable exactly as you are. There's nothing that needs to be fixed. There is nothing that needs to be fixed. The problems that you're having are coming because of all this armor that we put on ourselves. We're just trying to survive childhood, and so we build all this armor. And as you start to shed the armor and see yourself and acknowledge yourself and love yourself, that's when you realize there's nothing to be fixed. You're actually pretty great, exactly as you are. I want to just map this out for you. So a lot of clients come to me and they say, I'm just really unhappy. I don't know what to do. I don't know what the problem is. I probably need to change my job. Maybe a different industry. That's probably it. And they're just looking for happiness. But at this point, they'll say well, it's probably the 7 figures. If I can just get to 7 figures, then I'm going to be good. Everything will be great. I'll be happy. I'll be content. But you all, like me, when I was if I can just make it to 6 figures, everything will be fine. It'll be amazing. And it feels great for a little while, right? But then it kind of wears off. So we kind of know the milestone isn't the thing that's going to get you where you want to go. So what happens is we're feeling unhappy. It's really hard to write on a board with left hand because otherwise you erase it usually as you write. So we're unhappy and we decide that we need to fix it. There's something wrong with us that we need to fix. And the way that we motivate ourselves to fix this is through fear. So we feel all the fear and we're like, you gotta do this, you're not gonna be good enough, you're not gonna be lovable, you're not gonna be worthwhile, you've gotta prove yourself. So we feel the fear. And then the fear, so look at my notes. The fear leads to scarcity. Ian put it so brilliantly of you transmit the energy that you're feeling. And are you spreading scarcity to everybody around you? So we feel scarce. Which leads to feeling like garbage. Anybody? Garbage, which leads to wondering why we feel like garbage. And then deciding that, it's because I need to fix myself. It just perpetuates. It all stems from this idea of feeling like we need to prove ourselves, feeling like we're not good enough, feeling like we have anything that we need to fix. then we start like, oh, I'm unhappy. I need to fix it. I literally was like going through this in my brain this morning. Like, you don't need to fix it. You don't need to fix it, Amber. Like, I need to fix this. I'm unhappy. So then you start fixing things. And it just keeps you in this perpetual cycle of always feeling unhappy. What we're looking for is happiness. That happiness and content and calm that you're looking for is outside of fixing. And it's outside of motivating yourself by fear. Ian put it so well when he talked about when you feel good about yourself and you're doing this in service of other people, it just flows. You feel so much better. So this becomes like a self-imposed glass ceiling that we put on ourselves. We're trying to figure out, how do I make it to the next level? And it's really tricky because all these survival mechanisms that we brought with us were so helpful. And I loved the exercise of looking at your scars and figuring out, how have those helped you? What have you gotten out of them? Like, I think about, like, I had to read the room, and I'm really good at reading people, which is super helpful as a coach, super helpful in sales. But a lot of times those mechanisms also become detrimental to us, and we've created our own self-imposed glass ceiling. We can't make it past that because we're operating from this feeling of not being good enough. So I unpacked all of this. I agree with what Ian said. I realized that the beliefs that I had about myself aren't even my beliefs. Like, I loved how you talked about it's not your voice. But those beliefs aren't even my beliefs. This is such a weird one, but I remember feeling like the spots on my arm were really bad. And then when my therapist was questioning me about it, he's like, why? And I was like, I don't know. I think my mom didn't like the spots on her arms. And so I just assumed that the spots on my arms were bad. But I actually really love them because it's evidence of all the time that I spent at the pool. And I love that about myself. Like, it's so wild when you question these beliefs. They're not even your beliefs. They just got passed to you by somebody else. And who is that person? Do you even like that person? Do you even want to believe what they believe? So as I unpacked all of this, I got to a place where I was like, okay, cool. I don't need to fill this gaping black hole with outside achievements. I can fill it from the inside. I can feel really good about myself. But that left me in a really precarious position because I still want to achieve. I was like, what do I do? Okay, I know that, like, the outside achievements aren't going to make me feel better, but I still love achieving. I'm an Enneagram 3 after all. And I didn't know what to do. And I was listening to a book or something, and it was talking about how every single thing in nature is designed to grow. I have a big window in my office, and I'm always looking out the window at the trees. And I look at these trees, and I think, those trees, the only job they have is to grow. And they're not growing to, like, beat their neighbor, right? To be like, I'm taller, so get on my level. They're not growing to prove their worthiness, right? It's a tree. I don't think they care about that. They're just growing because that's what they're designed to do. And I think that that's true for every one of us. What if you never had anything to prove? What if you are whole and completely worthy right now? What if there's nothing to fix? What if you have always had it in you to succeed? It's always been there the entire time. It's always been there. There's actually nothing to prove. When you accept that, then you can grow and achieve just because it's fun. Just because you want to. Just because you love, like, turning that person who doesn't like your product into somebody who is the ultimate champion of it. Just because you love solving problems. Just because you love helping people. Just because it's so fun to grow. What if you have nothing to prove?
Okay, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got all my jokes. It's so funny because while I was practicing this presentation, I was like, these jokes are really funny to me. I don't know if they're going to land. And then when everybody in the audience laughed, I was like, yes, they get it. Hopefully you're hungry for a handy snack right now. And if you have any questions or if this resonated with you, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can just find me, search my name, Amber Deibert. I would love to hear from you. It's so helpful to know what is resonating and what's not resonating. And I love hearing from people who listen to this podcast. So please rate, review, comment, subscribe, reach out to me. I would love to hear your feedback on this episode. Thanks so much. See you next week.